I'm going to make one of the early, maybe the first Substack video for my legions of fans and my subscribers. And I'm going to talk about tariffs. And I am emotional about tariffs, to be honest, because I think they're great. And for me, it's like my birthday every day. I feel like it's Christmas morning when I wake up and I can just feel and smell the tariffs in the air. I just can't get enough. And I say that because this is one of those corny, teachable moments that they talk about in teacher school, because you get to the start of what I talk about when I say the private first class William Santiago moment. And that's from the movie A Few Good Men, where Tom Cruise verbally railroads, he rhetorically manipulates, and then verbally forces the Jack Nicholson character, Colonel Jessup, into a corner. Because the top brass in the military, right? PFC William Santiago was killed in a hazing accident, right? He was a weaker Marine. He was not as strong as the other young men. And he was costing the unit a lot, right? You're only as strong as your weakest link. And so they were made weaker as a group because of this guy. So they hazed him, and he wound up dying in the process. So to cover up for the murder, top brass, Colonel Jessup, the Jack Nicholson character, he tells the court and has it engineered that he told everybody that PFC William Santiago wasn't to be touched. So Tom Cruise basically has Jessup go through, is there any way in which your order would be disobeyed? And Jessup is like, no. Because Jessup is saying that PFC William Santiago wasn't to be touched. And Jessup's orders are always obeyed. And there is never an instance where Jessup's order wouldn't be obeyed. But here's the thing. Top brass has said, if you gave the order, Colonel Jessup, that William Santiago wasn't to be touched, why was he in any danger? Why would he have to be transferred off the base? You see where I'm going with this? You get to these points in our world, and I use this often with students, where we have to navigate the world we're in and it gets complicated. And sometimes just one of these PFC William Santiago questions does the job. If you gave the order that PFC William Santiago wasn't to be touched, and your orders are always obeyed, and there are no exceptions, then why the transfer order? Why would Santiago be in any danger at all? So let's talk about my favorite topic of the day, tariffs. We're hearing from mainstream corporate media and globalist government apparatchiks and those in its orbit how tariffs are bad and Trump is ruining things because the stock market has taken a big dump. Okay. If this is a big deal, then why, when the stock market went up, I don't know, somewhere between 40 and 60% in Trump's first term, why were those people saying that the stock market was not a good indicator of the economy? There's a question for you. Here's another one. 10% of Americans have some kind of major stake in the stock market because of 401ks and retirement plans. 10%. 90% do not. So if not only is the stock market not a good indicator, as you said back in 2018 when Trump was talking up the stock market, and 90% Main Street has nothing to do with the stock market. Why are we hearing about the stock market all the time now? And the fact that it's going down is bad, right? 1% of the United States owns 50% of the stock market. That's the ultra elite. The 1%, right? Remember how you were voting and following Bernie Sanders because he was going after the 1%? Yeah, well, the 1% is hurting. If you don't like the 1% and you don't want the 1% to benefit at the benefit of others, and this is hurting the 1%, why are you upset? And I mean you. I know why the elites are upset. I know why the globalist horde is upset. I understand why the top of the pyramid is upset. I get that. I don't understand why you're upset. Oh, tariffs are bad. Okay, then the other countries that have tariffs on us, are they bad? There are products that come from the United States that get slapped with a 200% tariff by Canada. Are they bad? Is that an act of war, which is what we're hearing? We are hearing that tariffs are an act of war. The clowns and doofuses on CNBC and Fox and the New York Times, globalists now really past their prime, way past their expiration date, oddballs like Larry Summers are telling us that tariffs are an act of war. Did Canada declare an act of war on the United States? Or Vietnam? Have you looked at tariff rates from them? If tariffs are bad, why does every other country, right, here we go with the PFC Santiago stuff. If tariffs are bad and an act of war and all the negatives that you're hearing now, why do the other countries put them on us? And why haven't you been angry about that until you were told to be angry 4 days ago? This is the kind of stuff we do in class. This is the kind of stuff I walk teenagers through. And while the teenager of today is addled by its phone and it can't concentrate and it has very, very little intellectual curiosity, they're not all like that. Some of those teenagers get it. And they instantly see how easy it is to get people talking about a topic and then have them parrot the opinion that the top of the pyramid wants them to parrot. And that's where this kind of questioning works. Because if it's bad for the United States, I talked to you about this with the immigration stuff before. If uncontrolled, unvetted, both medically and financially, immigration is somehow good, why don't other countries do it? Like Japan, or Egypt, or the Vatican, or China. If it's great and it's a net good, why doesn't everybody do it? Why here? You see what I'm saying? And this is the kind of thing with tariffs. So yes, I like tariffs. They're exciting. Finally, the United States is pushing back. And if you look at who has a trade deficit and a trade surplus, Trump is playing it nicely. He's also playing you nicely because this is the Trump way. He's announcing absurdly high tariffs. The stuff he says, way too high. But that's a negotiating tactic already. And today's Tuesday, April 8th. Already, countries are capitulating and they're like, look, we'll do this if you lower this, and that's how it's going. And it's already happening. So when you listen to your elders or somebody is saying something that's the topic of the day and they're all hyped about it, maybe just ask yourself some questions. Sit and wait for a little while, especially in today's world where the news moves much too fast and people get emotional about all kinds of craziness. Just wait. Ask yourself some questions. Ask questions of the people who are kind of getting goofy and see what you can find out. And that's the method we use in Room 108.